This video will demonstrate how to complete your Computer Ninja training document. Remember, as you're watching the video, follow along, and if you have any questions, remember to pause and rewind to watch it again. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. On your lesson page, you're going to see the steps on the left-hand side to complete the assignment. First thing we need to do is download the Computer Ninja training document. So I'll simply click on the document link, and if you're using Chrome, you'll see down below that a button will appear that the document has been downloaded to your Downloads folder. Simply click the button and Word should open. Up on top, you'll probably end up with this yellow bar. What you want to do is click the Enable Editing button, which will allow you to make changes to this document. So I'm going to click Enable Editing. Now, before I go any farther, I'm going to demonstrate a couple things here that'll help you use this document while you're watching this video. So earlier we learned a little bit about snap windows. What we're going to do is we're going to use that technique with this document. So the first thing I'm going to do is in the upper right hand corner is, instead of having this screen maximized so it fills the whole screen, I'm going to click this middle button, which is going to reduce the size. And I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller as well. So now I have this window that kind of floats around, and I can see my lesson is in the background. So now I'm going to do the same thing with my lesson. I'm going to click the middle button. So now I have my lesson window and my Word document window. Next, what I'm going to do is drag my lesson window all the way to the left-hand side, and it should snap to half the screen. And now I'm going to snap my Word document to the right-hand side, and it'll snap to the other half of the screen. Now you can adjust your video and continue playing the video and watching it while you're working on the document. So the first thing I'm going to do here is take this document, and I'm going to show you some techniques about a document, or some things that teachers typically run into when they're using Word. So as I scroll down here, obviously it's just a fake document that we're using for training, but it's going to have a lot of things and techniques on here that you may use when you're creating a Word document. So the first thing that teachers a lot of times run into trouble with is using images with their on their document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this bigger so that you can see it on the video. Remember, you're going to keep it so that you've got your Word document on one half of the screen, and you can continue playing the video on the other half of the screen. So I'm going to maximize this. And the first thing I'll do is I'm going to notice that my image that I have placed here, if I try to move it around, it just never does what I quite want it to. And if you've ever worked in Word before with images, you've probably been frustrated with this little tool here and not being able to get it right where you want it. I want my image to be over here in this white space, but like we've kind of found is I just can't drag it over there and drop it like I can in PowerPoint. So instead I have to learn the way Word kind of views these images. First thing is that when I insert an image into Word, it's really looking at this as if it's a big letter. So it's putting it in line with this text. So what I need to do is use some tools to let it know I want to treat this like an image. So if I double click on this picture, you're going to see that my picture tools will appear and my ribbon's going to change. So double click, and now I'm on my picture tools tab, and my ribbon changes to give me all the tools that I might use with a picture. The main tool that I want to use, or actually there's two of them here, there's one called Position and one called Text Wrap. Position is going to give you a general position about where to put the image. So for example, if I want this image to be in the upper right hand corner, I can click Position, and then it gives me all these different options. And in fact, if I hover over it, it allows me to see what that image would look like in that location. I'm going to put it in the upper right. So this really isn't too bad for this particular document. But let's say I want a little bit more control. Maybe I don't want it to be quite that far to the right, or maybe I want it a little bit higher or more to the center. So if I want more control, I'm going to use my text wrap button. When I click on this, I can see that right now it's set to square. Before it was in line with text. And as soon as I change that position, it changed this to square. Now what I want to do is get even more control by telling it to go in front of the text. When I click on that, and now it's going to allow me to treat this image just like PowerPoint typically treats images. I can click and move this image exactly where I want it to go on the document. A lot of times when teachers first learn how to use this tool, they are just thrilled because they can really move those images around and place them exactly where they want to on their document. And of course, you're still free to resize and everything like that. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this line right here. So what we would typically do is just click and drag. Whoops, I don't want to delete that image. Click and drag this line right here, and then hit delete. I'm going to hit delete again to bring that next line up a little bit higher. All right, this is the title of my document, so I want this to be big. I'm going to make this kind of the heading, and what a lot of teachers will do, or a lot of us will do when we're working with this, is we might say, okay, I want this bigger, so I'm going to make it 24, make it bold, maybe change the color, and that's all fine, but there's some tools on here that you can make it work even faster. So I'm going to undo what I just did. I can do that by going up to this little toolbar in the upper left hand corner, click undo bold, undo size, and now I'm back to where it was. I have some tools up here in my styles, and I've got heading number 1, heading number 2, title, and you can see how it's making changes to that text. Well, none of these are quite what I want, but I want you to see that these quick styles will change whatever is highlighted. So let's say I wanted this to be size 24, I want it to be bold, and I want it to be dark red. So if I make those changes, and I know that this is kind of a heading that I use a lot, what I can do is I can change this heading number 1 so that it's exactly what I see right here. So I'm going to highlight this, right click, and say update heading number 1 to match the selection. When I click on that, you're going to see that this heading that I modified is now one of the quick styles. So if I wanted to make more styles like that, I could just simply click on this line and change that to a heading number 1 as well. All right, I'm going to undo that. And again, if you feel like this is going too fast, just pause it, rewind it, watch it again, pause it to give yourself a chance to get caught up. So that's the nice part about having this video, that you can pause the teacher and rewind the teacher as needed. All right, so you just learned a little bit about quickly formatting headings. So we just right-clicked that style set and we changed it. I'm going to show you how you can also do this by, let's say I wanted all of these subheadings to be a little bit bigger. So we're not going to make those quite as large as our top heading. Let's just make it 14. Let's make it bold. And then these, let's maybe make kind of a, I don't know if I like that green, maybe a purple. Well, no, not purple. Let's go with the dark blue. Or maybe this blue right here. Okay, so we're just going to make those blue. All right, I decided I kind of like that, but I want all of my other headings to be the same way. Well, we've already done the right click, so you learned how to reset these quick styles. Now I'm going to show you how to use something called the Format Painter. I've decided I like this, and it's something that I want to use over and over again. But I don't want to have to go through and highlight each one of these, make them bold, change it to 14, change it to blue. That's just too many clicks. So instead what I'm going to do is I'll just click on this line, so it could be anywhere in here. Or actually I'm going to go up to the spot. This is the format that I want. So I'm going to click anywhere within this format. And I'm going to go up to my Format Painter, and I'm going to double click on it. When I double click that, you'll see that that Format Painter button stays yellow. And now anywhere that I click, it's going to apply this format to that text. So see how my cursor now, my little arrow is now a little paintbrush. I'll click on this line, or actually this whole line right here, and it's going to change it to that format. My next heading is right here. And you can see if I just click one word at a time, it's only going to make that one word that format. So I'm going to highlight that whole line, highlight this line, highlight this line, then I'll keep going for all of my subheadings here. Alright, horizontal lines, and that's it. Okay, I'll scroll back up to the top now. Alright, now that I'm done with that, I can just click once on Format Painter and that'll turn it off. Alright, so now you can see it's not yellow anymore. Alright, so I'm back to just having my regular mouse and cursor. I'm going to show you some things now that will help you select text very quickly. So highlight text, or specific text, quickly. Now, just like I was doing earlier, it can be difficult. Let's say that I want to make the word italicized bold. What I would normally have to do is go right in here and find the exact spot to click and highlight, and sometimes it gets a little goofy. It wants to click more than one part of the text. So there, I finally got my one word highlighted, and now I can make it bold, or in this case italicized. Well, that's great, except it kind of took me a long time to actually select that word. So I'm going to undo that and show you a quicker way. Like it says right here, double click. So if I want to highlight just one word, I can just simply double click on that one word. When I double click it, it becomes highlighted, and now I can change that to italicized, and it's an italicized word. Now let's say that I want to triple click. What does that do? Well, let's find out. Triple click, 1, 2, 3. Look at that, it highlights the whole paragraph. So it recognizes that this is a paragraph, it'll highlight the whole thing. My next step here says control click. So on my keyboard, I'm going to hold down the control key and click somewhere. You see what that does? That highlights an entire sentence. So instead of me trying to click and drag to find the exact spot where that sentence is and make sure I've got the period, I can simply hold down the control key, and while I'm holding down control, just click anywhere in the middle of that sentence, and then that sentence will become highlighted. Let's see, did that one work? Let me try it again. There it goes. All right. Let's see. What I want to do is if you kind of read through this, it says, I started writing this paper but realized I needed some revisions. I've learned that magazine titles such as Sports Illustrated should be italicized. So I'm going to italicize the word Sports Illustrated, or actually it's two words. So remember how we double clicked? Well, instead of double clicking two different words, what I'm going to do is double click and continue holding down my mouse button, and this takes some practice, and then continue moving it to the second word. So to give you an example here, I'm going to highlight and double click need some. So if I double click and continue holding it down, it highlights the one word, and as I move to the right, I'm still holding down my mouse button. See how it snaps to the next word? And I can just keep grabbing as many words as I need, or if I've grabbed too many, I can just go backwards and not grab quite as many. As soon as I let go, those are the words that'll be highlighted. So, for example, if I want to highlight Sports Illustrated, I'm going to double click Sports, hold down the mouse button, and continue dragging to the word Illustrated. Double click and hold, go over to Illustrated, and let go. Now those two words are highlighted. I can choose italic to make that italicized. Alright, so then the sentence says, now that I know some new tricks, I can quickly double click and drag to highlight these two words. By pressing Control-I keys, I can italicize the title. So instead of having to go up and choose I, now we're going to use some keystrokes here. Control-I allows you to italicize. So if I just double click the word, and now on my keyboard I'll press Control-I, that'll italicize that word. Now that's not just a keystroke for the Word program. It works in PowerPoint, it'll work on things that you're editing on the internet, it'll work in almost any program that you're using with text. Well, my last thing says this sentence would sound better at the beginning of the paragraph. So I want to move this sentence all the way up to the front here. You could do this a few different ways. Again, I'm going to highlight that whole sentence, so we're going to use our shortcut that we learned. We're going to hold down the Control key, click anywhere in the middle of the sentence, and then that whole sentence will become highlighted. Once it becomes highlighted, I have some options here. One of my options is that I could cut that sentence, put my cursor at the beginning of the paragraph, right-click and choose Paste, or simply go up to the Paste clipboard and see how it pastes in that sentence. I'm going to undo that and get my sentence back to the end. Well, a way that's faster, if I want to move this whole sentence and bring it to the beginning, now that it's highlighted, I can click and drag that sentence to the very beginning and let go, and it's going to move that highlighted text. Again, just makes it quick and easy to be able to move my text around. Now if I continue reading here, it says this paragraph would make a better instruction to this paper. I can triple click to highlight the entire paragraph. This makes it easy to move large bodies of text from one place to another. Just like any highlighted word or sentence, I can click and drag a paragraph. So again, I'm going to triple click to get this whole paragraph. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to click and drag to move that highlighted paragraph to the beginning. That switches that around, and now if I need a little extra space, whoops, I can just put in that extra space. Alright, well I hope that helped you learn some things about double clicking and triple clicking and what a control click does and click and drag. And now let's move on with some more tips in our training that can really help teachers. Alright, so we can create a table from a list. So we can do that by highlighting, inserting a table, and converting text to table. So in this example, I want to change this whole list here into a table. So I've got a number next to a student's name. So this might be something that you might have a list of for computer numbers, or maybe for little mailboxes in your classroom or something. So what I'm going to do is highlight all of this, and like it says here, I'm going to highlight, choose Insert, Table, and convert text to table. So I'll go up to highlight, or I already highlighted, I guess. Then I'm going to choose the Insert tab, and then it says to choose table. So I'll go over to my table, click the pull down arrow, and select Convert Text to Table. It's going to ask me number of columns. Well, I want the numbers to be in one column, first name to be in another column, last name to be in a third column. So that's going to be 3 columns. Fixed column width. No, let's do auto fit, or yeah, let's do fixed column width. Is going to be fine. Separate text at paragraphs. Nope. Tabs. Nope. We're going to separate the text at the spaces. So we're going to choose Other, and it's not going to be a dash. Instead, it's going to be a space. So I'm just going to press the space bar, and then I'll click OK. And you can see there it divides up my numbers, first name, and last name. Well, maybe I want a heading up on top here that would say number, first, last. Well, what I can simply do is, if I go into this very first cell, I can right click, choose Insert, and Insert Rows Above. Gives me a new row where I can label computer number, and I can say first name and last name. Oh, capitalize that. All right, that looks pretty good, but now let's say that I want to make these bold. Again, we're going to use some of the techniques we've learned. So I'm going to double click and drag to get both of those. And again, instead of going up to Home and Bold, I'm going to use a keyboard shortcut here. I'm going to say Control B. Control B is going to make it bold, just like Control I made things italicized. So double click and drag, Control B, double click, drag, Control B. Now I've got my headings all highlighted. All right, let's move on here a little bit, and let's get down to hide the ribbon to display the document. So a lot of times in class you might have to display a document to your students. And if you're using your LCD projector in your classroom, this works great, except that this ribbon up on top takes up quite a bit of space. So you can hide that ribbon to display this document much more effectively. Like it says here, double click one of the ribbon tabs, and this will all minimize. So I'm going to go over here to my Home tab, and I'm going to double click it and watch what happens to my ribbon of tools. It simply hides it. That gives me more space so that I can display my document. Another thing I can do is, in the lower right hand corner, I can use the plus and minus button to resize that document. So again, if I want to make it so that my students can see it much easier, I can just click the plus or minus buttons, or slide the little tool there to make it bigger or smaller. The next task that we're going to complete is to learn how to sort a list of words within Word. Quite often we'll have a list of our students just written on a regular Word document. In this case, I've got 5 students here, and maybe another student comes in the middle of the year, then your lists are no longer alphabetical. And if you want to quickly rearrange those in alphabetical order, what you can do is, with your list, in this example, I've got last name, comma, first name. I'm just going to highlight the list of words that I want to sort, and then under my Home tab, I'm going to go to the section called Paragraph, and you'll see a button there that has A through Z with a down arrow. I'm going to click that to sort that list, and I'm going to sort by, so it can give me paragraphs, word 1 or word 2. I'm going to choose word 1. And maybe I have somebody in the class with the same last name. I could also say then by word number 2. My list does not have a heading row, so I'm going to say no header row. and then I'll click OK. Watch how it takes that list and sorts it alphabetically. So that's something that quite often people know that they can do that in a spreadsheet, but did not know that that option was also available on a Word document. So that's how you sort a list in Word. Let's talk about adding a page break. Now, a page break, this happens quite often where a teacher decides maybe they're creating a worksheet for the class and they have a question here and they want to leave some space for the students to write an answer here, but then it's going to also go onto a second page. Typically what happens is that we put the cursor here at the end of the question and we hit enter, 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 enter again until everything else runs onto the next page. The problem is that if I end up having to add some more text, if I add some more text and maybe add things like that, that continues to push the rest of my document down. So I don't want to have to go back in here and hit delete, 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 delete. So I'll show you the best way to do this. All right, so instead of hitting enter over and over and over again, what I'm going to do is tell this line that I want it to break down to the next page. So I'm going to put my cursor right in front of this heading. I'll go up to Insert, and there's a button here that'll say Page Break. When I click it, it's going to force this line down to the next page. And now what my students will have is they'll have space here to be able to write in whatever answer, or space to draw a picture, whatever they need to do for whatever my question is about. Plus what that does, if later on if I decide I need to add some more text, I've got space now to be able to do that. You'll see that as I add in more text, nothing happens to the text on my next page. So that's another little tip about how to add a page break. So let's do that one more time again. Go to Insert, Page Break, and that'll force it down to the next page. Okay, line up columns of text with tabs. So again, this might be a way where you have a lot of information and you need to be able to space this out so it looks nice on your paper. The problem is a lot of times what we'll do is we'll take these headings and we just put a whole bunch of spaces in between the headings. Now the problem with that is if later on if you change your font size or change the font style, all of those spacings can get all mixed up. So instead, a faster and more efficient way is to take all of that information and just put one tab between the text. So I've got a student name, the username, a password, and computer number. And after each one of these words, all I did is I just put in a tab. So at the end of username, there was a big tab here. You can see how it just jumps back and forth because there's a tab. At the end of password, another big tab between password and computer. I did the same thing when I was typing in the student names, the usernames, their password, and the computer number. So what I'm going to do here is I just triple clicked, so I highlighted this whole sentence. I'm going to make that bold. Again, the shortcut for that is Control B. And now I'm going to choose all of this text because I want it to all line up and look nicer on my paper. So what I'll do is I'm going to go over here to, I'm just going to clean this up by clicking on my home button. And you'll notice you'll have this ruler up on top. If your ruler is not displaying, if you go to the upper right hand corner right here, you're going to see this tiny little View Ruler button. If you click on it, it'll make that ruler either appear or disappear. Make sure that your ruler is showing. And then in the opposite corner on the left hand side, you're going to see this little L here. Well, what this is that these are your tab brackets. In this case, it's going to create a left tab. So I've already put in single tabs, but now I want to control where those tabs go. So I'm going to I've got my setting on left tab. I want to choose where my username goes. So I'm going to click and drag it so that my username ends up right about, let's go right about here. Next I want to set my password. So I'm going to set the password tab to go probably right about here. Now I'm going to line up my computer number so that it goes right about here. Well, later I decide, you know what, I don't really like the way my computer numbers are lined up right there. Numbers with double digits and stuff like that should typically be, everything should be flush to the right. So instead of using this left tab, I'm going to click and drag it down so it disappears from my ruler. So I'll click, drag it down so it's no longer set there. Over here on my left hand side, instead of using the left tab, I'm going to click once, it turns into a center tab. Click once again, it turns into a right tab. Now that it's set to a right tab, I'm going to choose my computer numbers to line up over here. There, I like the way that looks quite a bit better, but I think I would maybe like my passwords to all be centered because they're all 4 digits. It would look a little bit cleaner maybe if this column was centered. So right now that's set as a left tab. I'm going to click and drag that down, and you're going to see here that it's going to kind of goof up my columns. That's alright, I'm not worried about that. I know that I'm going to recenter that. So over here on the left hand side, I'm going to click again, click one more time, one more time, one more time, and now I'm back to the left tab. I'm going to click one more time here to get a center tab. There's my center tab. I'm going to go back to this general area, click and kind of drag to get a feeling for where I want that to go. Maybe right about here. If I want it to go a little bit more to the left, I can click on it again and drag it over a little bit. There, I like that spacing, I like the way that all looks. But now that I have this all lined up here, and it definitely looks better than it did before, it might be kind of hard for me to kind of find Tweety Bird and find the password and the computer number and all that. So again, I'm going to show you some things here that'll make this all look and a little bit easier to find. First, let's sort this alphabetically. So again, this is a little bit of review from what we did before. So I'm going to triple click, 1, 2, 3, and then just continue dragging down so I've got everything highlighted. And now I'm going to sort, and again that'll be under the Home tab. Over at the paragraph area, I'm going to click that A through Z. Then it's going to ask, how do you want to sort that text? Well, I'm going to sort it by student name, then by username. That's fine, just in case there's a double in there. Actually, I'm just going to say none. So I'm only going to sort it by student name. It does recognize that my header has, or my list has a header row. I'm going to click OK, and you'll see that my students will be sorted alphabetically. All right, well that helps a little bit now that my list is alphabetical. Or maybe I want to sort it by computer number. I'm going to triple click, highlight everything, and let's this time go by computer number. A through Z, instead of student name, let's go computer number, click OK, and now they're sorted by computer number. You can choose what you want to do there, but I want to show you how those different options help out. But it's still kind of hard to see these students that are in the middle here to make sure that they're lined up, and what computer number is Daffy Duck? Is he 10 or 3 or 8? So what I'll do here is I'm going to triple click, go all the way down to highlight all of my list of numbers and names. And this time I'm going to right click on this highlighted area. you'll see an option here that says paragraph. I'm going to choose paragraph. The paragraph tools have a little known button down here called tabs. When I click on the tabs, it'll open up a tabs window, and you'll see that these are all of the tabs that I had set. I set a tab at 1.5 inches right here. I set a tab at 3 inches, which is listed right here, and then another one at 4.5 inches, which is shown right here. What I'm going to do is tell it what to do with those tabs. So for example, at my 1.5 tab, I would like it to fill it with dotted lines. And then I'll say set. Watch what happens here. And now I'm going to say 3, fill with dotted lines, set. 4.5, fill with dotted lines, set. When I click OK, watch all of the dotted lines fill in here. Now it makes it a lot easier for me to look over and decide where is Daffy Duck, what is his password, what is his computer number. On our next section, we're going to learn how to insert screenshots. In order to do this, or the purpose of doing this, is a lot of times you may be creating kind of a tip sheet and you want to show students where to go on a web page to complete maybe a IXL math, or you're trying to give them some type of instructions about what to do on your web page. Anything like that, it can be helpful to use what's called a screenshot. In order to make a screenshot, what you're going to do is click in a spot where you want that to insert that screenshot. And then on your ribbon, you're going to go up to the tab that says Insert. And then you'll find a button that says Screenshot. You can click the pull down arrow for Screenshot and choose Screen Clipping. Otherwise, I believe if you just click on the button itself, it'll take you straight to screen clipping. Nope, guess not. So we got to choose screen clipping. And then it's going to close your Word document and show whatever next window you had opened. So you'll want to make sure whatever you're trying to demonstrate that window is open as well. So maybe for this example, I'm trying to show students where they can go to find additional resources. So I'm going to highlight this area off on the right hand side here, and as soon as I let go after drawing that box, my screenshot is going to appear, but you'll notice that it brings it in like text. So I've got the same problem I did originally with our little ninja character in the beginning. I can't move it to this white space where I want to place it. So like we talked about, I'm going to double click on this image. I'm going to choose Text Wrap and select In Front of Text. Now this image allows me to bring it and place it wherever I want to use it in this document. So do a simple screen clip here. It doesn't matter what you're clipping. Just do a simple screen clip of something over here. Don't make it too big, just make it something kind of small that you would want to point students to. And then once you've done that, we've placed it in there by using our text wrapping tool. And now we're going to make this look real fancy. We're going to do that by adding some little features to this. So again, if I was back on my home page and I wanted to do something to this image, I would simply double click the image. And now up on my picture styles, I can choose from doing a lot of different things with that image. Simply by hovering over it, it's going to change that image to some different styles. Well, the one that I like to use a lot is this one with a little shadow behind it. I just think it looks clean and professional. So I'm going to click on that to apply that style. But what I don't like about the style is that it doesn't really put a border around it. So it adds a little shadow, but now I want to add a picture border. So again, if I double click on the image so that I've got my picture tools, I'm going to go up to Picture Border, click the pull down arrow, and I'm going to choose black. And now my image has got a black border around it and the shadow, and I think that looks pretty sharp and clean. I might have some instructions right here, and I want students to know that it's for this particular picture. So I'm going to go up to Insert, choose Shapes. I'm going to choose this little arrow tool here, just so that after that little bit of instruction, I can click and draw an arrow over here so they know I'm referring to this picture. But I certainly don't like that little blue line, so I'm going to change that. You can see my line is highlighted. I've got my drawing tool selected. So I'm going to change it to black by clicking on Shape Outline, Black. I think it's too small, so I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. Again, Shape Outline, Weight, and I'll make that maybe 3 point. Now students will definitely know that this set of instructions is definitely talking about this picture. All right, a few more quick tips with Word that can help you really clean up and make a document look nice. Horizontal lines. There's a lot of different needs for horizontal lines. And there's a variety of horizontal lines you can put on a page. And like you saw here, you can do it by drawing your lines in. But there's also a quick and easy way that a lot of people don't know about. There's a variety of 3 dashes and enter will return a horizontal line. So for example, if I want to show kind of a little break in the page here, I'll add some space, and then I'm going to put in dashes. I'm going to go in 1, 2, 3, and then when I hit enter, Word is going to recognize, oh, do you want to put in a horizontal line here? So I'll hit enter, and it'll automatically create a horizontal line there. I can do that with a dash, an equal sign, an asterisk, the pound sign, the little tilde, and an underscore. Each one of these is going to give me a different result. So again, 3 dashes will give me just a straight line. 3 equal signs and enter will give me a double line. If I hit shift in the asterisk, so I have 3 asterisks, click enter, it'll give me a dot. This is great if you're creating like a parent permission slip and you just need to show where the dotted line needs to go on your paper. For a little signature area at the bottom, do 3 asterisks and hit enter. That'll give you a quick little cut line there so that parents will know that this is where they're supposed to cut the parent permission slip. Alright, and then we've got our pound sign, enter. That'll give you a nice thick line. Your tilde, shift, and your little wavy symbol. That'll give you a little zigzag line. And then your underscore, shift and 3 underscores, enter. That'll give you a little bit more of a bold line. So you've got a lot of different choices right there. All right, well, you've learned a lot here. You've learned that using Word isn't just about things you do with your mouse. It can also be about things that you do with your keyboard and some keyboard shortcuts. You learned about Control I for italic, Control B for bold. So now I want to show you some more quick keystrokes that you can use. So I'm going to go up here, and because I like this layout, I'm going to double click horizontal lines and grab this a little bit of this text as well. That's because I want another heading and some text below that, and this is all formatted the way I want, so it's just real easy for me to highlight that, and I'm just going to paste that down here. Normally what you would do is you would normally right click, choose copy, you would go down below, kind of find the spot where you want to put it, and then you would right click again and you would choose paste with the format. Alright, well that does work, but there's a faster way. So I'm going to undo that. and that'll be your first keystroke that I want you to learn, is for undoing something, instead of going up to this little back arrow or trying to find the undo button on whatever program you're using, on almost every program, Control Z will undo your last step. So if I hit Control Z, that'll undo that little pasting that I did there. So instead, this time what I want to do is I'm going to copy this a little bit differently. And you may already know this quick shortcut, but I'm going to double click and drag just to get this text again. And instead of right clicking on that, I'm just going to go to my keyboard and hit Control C. Control C will copy whatever is highlighted. And now when I go down below, if I hit Control V, that will paste that area in. And now I'm going to change this heading to keyboard shortcuts. Go ahead and do that as well on your document. And then down below here, I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to change that text to use these shortcuts to be more productive. All right, and then I'm going to give you a list of ones to try here. So you learned about Control C, so I'm going to hit Enter. And then we're going to use some of our bullets up here. So under the Home tab, on Paragraph, I want you to choose the little bulleted list. The first one we learned about was Control and the C, which was for copy. So we're creating a little bit of a tip sheet here for you. So go ahead and type that in. Control C equals copy. Control plus V is paste. Control plus X is cut. And Control plus Z is undo. Alright, I'm going to hit Enter again. So those are some basic ones. What I want you to notice there is Control C, Control V, Control X, and Control Z are very common keyboard shortcuts. You'll notice on your keyboard they're all right next to each other. Control Z, Control V, the most common ones for copy and pasting. Control X will allow you to cut something. So, for example, if I highlight my Control X, and if I, on my keyboard, press Control X, that will cut it, and then down below, Control V, I can paste it. So that's a way to take some text out and replace it in a different area. I don't want to do that in this circumstance, so I'm going to hit Control Z, Control Z again, and that will undo those steps. My Control Z I can hit over and over and over again, and it will keep undoing the previous steps. Alright, so the next ones kind of deal with formatting, and you've learned some of those already as well. So go ahead and type this in. Control plus B is bold. Control plus I is italic. Control plus U is underline. And those are probably the most common formatting ones. So again, if I double click on something, Control B will make it bold. Double click another word, Control I we'll make it italicized, and double click on line. Control U will make it underlined. So again, some quick, easy ways to change formatting of text without having to do so many clicks with your mouse. These do take practice, and the more practice and the more you force yourself to use these keyboard shortcuts, the quicker it'll be when it comes time for editing and creating documents. All right, well, let's learn some more. Let's say this whole document, is fine, but you know what? For whatever reason, I need to change the font on everything. Well, instead of trying to click and highlight every single word on this entire document, what I can do instead is I can hit Control A. That will select everything. Control A. And let's say instead of whatever format or font I have here, let's say I want everything to be Arial. I can click on that and it'll change everything. I'm not going to change it, but I just want you to see that if you ever need to, let's say you find a paper and you need to copy that entire thing and move it to another paper, Control A will select everything, Control C will copy it, go to your other document, Control V will paste it all in. Just a quick and easy way to be able to highlight everything. So let's add that to our keyboard shortcuts. Control plus A is select all. You learned about double clicking a word to select one word, triple clicking to select a paragraph, control click to select a sentence. So we won't add that because that's already on our cheat sheet here. Some more keyboard shortcuts. Let's say that you are trying to add some images to this Word document. And let's say I want to add a picture of let's say a picture of a flower. Let's kind of have it pertain to what we're doing here. Let's say a keyboard shortcut. I want to show a keyboard shortcut and I want to add a picture right over here. And normally what I would have to do is I would go for my Word document, and you can follow along doing this, and I would have to go down to my browser, select the browser window. In this case, I'm going to open up another tab. I'm going to say keyboard shortcuts. Do a search for that. I don't want web pages, I want images, so I'm going to click on images to see pictures that relate to keyboard shortcuts. And I like this image right here, so I'm going to click on it. It's going to show me all these different images, so I decide that I like this one right here. I'm going to click on this image, and then I would right click, choose copy image, and then I would have to click back here on my Word document, and then I would right click, choose paste. It's going to bring that image in. I would have to double click because I need to change the text wrap to in front of text, and then move my picture and maybe resize it. Well, if I need to add a whole bunch of pictures, instead of clicking back to here, back to here, I can do another keyboard shortcut. Alt-Tab will help me go back and forth between two documents very quickly. So on my keyboard, if I press Alt-Tab, it's going to jump back to my last program that I was using, or the last window I was viewing. Control-Tab again. We'll go back to my Word document. So go ahead and type that in your Word document here is Alt plus Tab. And then switch between two windows. You might be wondering, okay, why is that helpful? Well, think about Word documents or maybe PowerPoint presentations where you're adding images to those documents and you're constantly going back and forth between Google Images and your document. Instead of doing all those clicks, if you're used to using that Alt tab, that'll help you very quickly jump back and forth between those two programs. To finish up this document, I'm going to have you do a few things. I'm going to demonstrate how you're going to save this document and how you're going to submit this as your assignment. So I'm just going to hit enter here a couple of times, and then I want you to type in your name. And I want you to make this, your name, one of these headings right here. So I want you to apply this same heading format to this by using what we used earlier, our format painter. So again, I'm going to click on my heading. So I'm in the area where it shows larger text. It shows that it's blue and that it's bold. And I'm just going to click on, this time I just need to click once because I'm only going to use it once. It's yellow. I've got the paintbrush. I'm going to highlight my name just to make it bold. And now I'm done with it. So you can see as soon as I click out on the document again, my format painter, being I only had to use it once, it's now deactivated. Alright, and now we need to save your document. So we're going to go up to File, click Save As, and now we need to tell it where to save it. If you're at school, the best spot for you to save it is always going to be your X drive. So here I find my X drive off on the left hand side, so I'm going to click on that. And then find a spot where it's appropriate for you to save that document. In this case, I'm going to go to my presentations area. And then I've got my school year listed here. And I'm just going to save it in here. Click Save. My document is now saved in there. And now I'm going to go back to Moodle to upload and submit this assignment. So I've already saved this. I'm going to click the X to close it. And now I'm going to jump back over here to my assignment that I was working on. So far we downloaded the training document. We practiced the keystrokes and skills demonstrated in the video. We just saved our Ninja training document. And now we need to upload the completed document on the assignment page. So I'm going to click on this link, assignment page. What I want you to notice is that it opened up another tab at the top. To follow these steps here, step number 1 says click the Browse button to locate and select your Computer Ninja training document file. I'm going to go down and click on Choose File. Now I'm going to browse for it. I need to go back to my X drive. I need to go to my presentations folder. Of course, you'll be looking wherever you saved your document. And then I saved it in the school year. Here's my Computer Ninja training document. I'm going to choose Open. My document is now listed here next to the Choose File button. And I'm going to click Upload this file. It tells me that it was uploaded successfully, so I'll click Continue. Now my document appears down here, so I know it's been submitted. And you can see it says, close this tab to return to your Ninja lesson. It gives me a little picture here what tab I need to close, so I'm going to go up on top here, close this tab, and now I've returned back to my lesson. I can click the Continue button to continue on with this lesson.